You continue to struggle with chronic thyroid symptoms day in and day out? Let's look at some of the symptoms of hypothyroidism. Cold hands, cold feet, fatigue. You require excessive amounts of sleep to function. You gain weight easily, even on low-calorie diets. You have difficult or infrequent bowel movements. You may suffer from depression, have lack of motivation, may have headaches that wear off as the day progresses. You may have thinning hair or excessive hair falling out. You may have dryness of the skin or scalp. You may have mental sluggishness. Now those are symptoms of hypothyroid. We're going to look at symptoms of hyperthyroidism. And these include heart palpitations, inward trembling, increased pulse even at rest. If you're nervous or emotional, or if you have insomnia, or night sweats, or difficulty gaining weight, these are symptoms of a hyperthyroid. Now, if you suffer from conditions of both hypo and hyperthyroid, you may have a condition known as thyroid or Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And this is an autoimmune disorder in which your own immune system attacks your thyroid. Now, if you suffer from Hashimoto's, you may experience some or all of the above symptoms. But let's talk about the thyroid gland for a bit. The thyroid actually runs your metabolism. It's the gas pedal for our body. And thyroid hormones have a direct effect on most organs, including the heart, which beats faster and harder under the influence of increased thyroid hormones. Now, this is why heart problems can often accompany chronic thyroid problems in women, and perhaps why heart problems are more common in women under the age of 50. Now, T3 is a more biologically active hormone. It's more important for cellular function. And in fact, most of the T4, around 80%, is converted into T3 in the body's peripheral tissue. So T4 is basically just a precursor for the more active hormone, T3. And one of the problems in some thyroid disorders is that you may have trouble converting this T4 into T3. And chances are you probably haven't had this checked. And this can create a deficiency of T3, disrupting the body's ability to properly regulate metabolism, leading to specific symptoms. Now, there are some clinicians that believe in treating the thyroid with iodine. Now, I don't recommend this, and according to renowned thyroid expert Dr. Datis Kazarian, author of the book, Why Do I Still Have Thyroid Symptoms When My Lab Tests Are Normal? He says that using iodine to treat thyroid conditions is like throwing gasoline on a fire. But I'm here to tell you that there is new hope in how you can finally end your thyroid nightmare. And what makes us different from every other doctor that you've seen? We treat you metabolically and neurologically. Now, you're watching this DVD because you or someone you love is suffering from thyroid disorder. Now, I'm here to tell you that no stone is left unturned to determine the exact cause of your problem. And I will guarantee you that no one has told you what I'm about to tell you. Because I'm going to address, number one, what makes our program unique, and number two, how I successfully treat your thyroid problem. So, how do I successfully treat thyroid conditions? By using specific metabolic and neurological protocols. Number one, specific metabolic testing and treatments. We treat you for sensitivity testing to determine if you have a sensitivity to gluten, which is in wheat, rye, barley, and even oats can give you a problem, even though it technically doesn't have gluten in it. We also test you for milk, eggs, yeast, or soy sensitivities. If you are sensitive to any of these food groups, it could be making your thyroid condition worse, as it will increase the inflammation in your brain and throughout your body. If you suffer from Hashimoto's thyroiditis, You need to be off gluten now. And here are some of the symptoms of these sensitivities. You may have chronic pain or fatigue, frequent indigestion, bloated after eating, frequent or loose bowel movements, constipation, mouth ulcers or sores. And the only way you're going to find out if you are sensitive to any of these is run the test. And the second thing that we do is complete blood panels by using specific blood tests such as a complete metabolic panel, a lipid panel, a CBC with differential. We can assess your adrenal glands, your liver, your kidney, red and white blood cells, and gut function. Now, all of these can be affected with chronic health conditions. By addressing any problems with your adrenal gland, blood system, or gut function, we can help you heal faster. The complete metabolic panel also allows us to check your blood glucose levels, since glucose and oxygen are needed by the brain to function properly. What other tests are necessary to check your thyroid? The TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone. Now, this is a message that's sent from a gland in the brain called the pituitary to the thyroid. You also need to check free T3, an important hormone produced by the thyroid gland. And it's considered to be the more biologically active hormone of the thyroid. You need to check T4. It's another important hormone produced by the thyroid. The next test you need to be concerned with or need to test is thyroid binding globulin, or TBG. Now, this measures the amount of proteins in the blood that transport thyroid hormones to the cells. And elevated testosterone can lower these levels, and elevated estrogen can actually raise the TBG levels. And both can produce thyroid symptoms. You also need to check your thyroid antibodies to TGB and TPO, thyroid peroxidase. And you check these in suspected cases of autoimmune thyroid disorders. You also need to check total T4. Now, this is a reflection of how much total T4 hormone there is in the blood. You also need to check free thyroxine index, or FTI. This is an estimate of how much thyroxine is in the blood. You also need to test resin T3 uptake. This test measures the unsaturated binding sites on thyroid proteins. The third level of test you need to do, adrenal stress index. You can test the adrenal glands with a test called adrenal stress index. This is a salivary test, much like DNA testing. Now, the adrenal glands sit on top of your kidneys, and they are your stress organs, meaning that they react to stress. So if you've been now or currently under stress, this test is a must. If you suffer from insomnia and or diabetes, this test is a must. It will measure your cortisol levels. The next thing we test is immune panels. Now, this is extremely important. You could be suffering from an autoimmune condition. An autoimmune condition called thyroiditis, or Hashimoto's thyroiditis, is where your immune system could be attacking your thyroid. Now, this is why the immune panels are so important, and not just the TPO or TGB thyroid antibodies. Now, there's two parts to the immune system. There's Th1 and Th2. Now, Th1 is interleukin-2 and tumor necrosis factor alpha. Now, these are your T cells. Now, T cells are the army that attacks and cleans up afterwards. These are your helper T cells, your suppressor T cells, your regulatory T cells, and macrophages. Now, interleukin-4 and interleukin-10 are dominant in the Th2. Now, the Th2 are B cells. The B cells make the antibodies. They tell the T cells what to kill. If the testing comes back with a high B cell count, you're likely to be Th2 dominant. You got T and B lymphocytes and natural killer cell panels. You got interleukin-2, tumor necrosis factor alpha, interleukin 4, interleukin 10, natural killer cell activity. You want to be able to determine if the antigen, if the active antigen, or if it is an active antigen or dysregulation. Now, if it's an active antigens or parasites, bacteria, virus, mold, yeast, fungi, protozoans, foods, chemicals, and heavy metals. And the best indicator for an active antigen as a cause of your abnormal dominance is the helper-suppressor ratio on the TMB cell panel, also called the CD4-CD8 ratio. Now, the closer it is to 2.5, or if it's above that, the more likely it is that you're dealing with an antigen. If the ratio is below 1.2, then you're more likely dealing with a dysregulation problem. The next thing you need to test is intestinal permeability. This test is used to determine if you suffer from a leaky gut or leaky gut syndrome. Now, leaky gut syndrome describes a condition of altered or damaged bowel lining caused by antibiotics, toxins, poor diets, parasites, or infections, and it can lead to increased permeability of the gut wall to toxins, microbes, undigested food, waste, or larger than normal macromolecules. It has been proposed that these substances affect the body directly, while some postulate that an immune reaction to these substances. The next thing we need to test is hormone panels. We can check hormone panels to determine if you suffer from low testosterone in males or low estrogen progesterone levels in females. Symptoms related to decreased hormone levels may include depression, fatigue, mental fogginess, mood swings, hot flashes, sweating attacks, weight gain, and decreased physical stamina. Now, the second part of this is specific neurological testing and treatments. We do brain-based therapy, where we use brain-based therapy such as vibration therapy. Now, vibration therapy, or vibration, fires to the back part of your brain called the cerebellum. And one of the functions of the cerebellum is to control the spinal muscles. We may use auditory, visual, olfactory, or caloric stimulation to increase the firing of the brain. We also use laser therapy. Laser therapy helps heal tissue. We also may use non-surgical spinal decompression, which creates negative disc pressure and helps to remove pressure off the nerve. It also provides a slow stretch to the muscles, which fires up to the spinal cord to increase firing of the brain. We use interactive metronome. This is a computer-based program that uses visual, auditory, and motor stimulation to increase firing in the brain. Once we have run the necessary tests in order to determine your specific condition, we can successfully treat you via proper neurological and all-natural nutritional protocols. So ask yourself the following questions. How has your thyroid affected your relationships, finances, family, or other activities? What has it cost you in time, money, happiness, or sleep? And where do you picture yourself in the next 1 to 5 years if this problem isn't taken care of? What is it worth to you if we could improve your condition? And finally, share this information with a family member or friend. I am offering 2 free visits to see if you're a candidate for care in my office. This offer is only good for a short time. I do not accept all cases, only those cases that I truly feel like I can help. If you would like to schedule your 2 free visits, call the office at 239-444-3106 and speak with one of my staff.